Hello everyone, it's my second day here today in Armenia, and it seems this one is gonna be a nice day as well, because look at the weather. Seems nice. And look at the view over Yerevan with the TV tower over there. Yeah, really nice weather today. This is the hotel where I will be staying for my time in Armenia. Pretty basic, to be honest. But I don't need much comfort. I just paid 300 euros for 10 nights here. Can you believe it? It's so cheap. But we have everything. Even an ancient Greek pillar in the middle of my room. A fridge as well. And of course, a private bathroom. Look at this. Not bad at all, right? For 30 euros per day. So let's go outside now and meet our driver and our guide for today. Let's go! Oh, they're already here. Ah. Hello again!
Hello.
So Chu, where will we going today?
So today we are going to Armenia region, which is the smallest region of Armenia, where we have the spiritual center Echmiadzin Cathedral, Echmiadzin, and the city Vagharshapat. By the way, sometimes we call Echmiadzin also Armenian Vatican, as it's a huge complex and the seat of our Catholicos, our patriarch.
Isn't it also one of the oldest cathedrals in the world?
It is the first cathedral officially built in the world. It was built between 301 and 303, immediately after the adoption of Christianity.
So it's a place with a lot of history then.
Yes, it is. And by the way, before, instead of Cathedral of Echmiadzin, there was a fire temple.
Yeah, I think it will be an incredible place to visit. So let's drive there.
We are entering city Vagharshapat, which we call Echmiadzin due to the cathedral. In front you can already notice the first church of Echmiadzin, Saint Hripsime, built in the 7th century. So you can already notice Saint Hripsime Church, devoted to Saint Hripsime, who was one of the nuns who came to Armenia in the 3rd century. All the nuns, 37 of them, were murdered because of the Christianity. And so 37 nuns came to Armenia, and they were trying to find a shelter here, as Hripsime was really a beautiful girl who devoted her life to Jesus, and the Roman Emperor Diocletian was in love with her. But when he got a refusal, Hripsime with the nuns decided to escape from Rome, and they moved to Armenia. Later, Diocletian wrote a letter to our king Terdad III, asking him to find this girl and return back to Rome. When Terdad saw her, he also fell in love with her. But again, he was refused, and of course he ordered to kill all of them. So later in the 7th century, Comitas Catholicos built this church in honor of Hripsime on her tombstone. So Hripsime is buried under the altar of Saint Hripsime Church.
Look at this beautiful church. Incredible, right? So how many churches are there in this area here? You know that?
5 churches.
Ah.
5 churches, and the main cathedral, of course, Saint Hripsime Church, Saint Gayane Church, and Shogakat, also devoted to those nuns who were killed by the king, by the order of the king. By the way, Saint Hripsime was partly restored in the 17th century and in the 20th century as well. So the bell tower was added only in the 17th century. and the style of Hripsime is one of the first central dome churches in the territory of Armenia. After this church, all these type of churches were called Hripsime type churches. Okay. And of course the stone is tufa stone, famous Armenian tufa.
And it seems here we have some tombstones. 1726, 1729. Do you know what this is?
So these are the tombstones of our Catholicos patriarch who served the church, and they are buried under the bell tower. So here you can see the period when they served as a Catholicos.
And now we will enter the church, guys. Wow.
By the way, this church is also built on the fire temple, and where you can see the glasses, there are the remains of the pagan temple. So during the excavation, they found the foundation of pagan temple with Hellenic decorations.
So here, below this glass, are the remains of the pagan temple, the fire temple. Look at the beautiful altar here. So nice.
So this is Beauty Hripsime. She was stoned, and later she was buried here, and only in the 7th century this church was built on her tombstone.
And here a beautiful cross. And some stones with inscriptions.
By the way, it's written in Old Armenian language, Grapar, but now we are using new spoken language, Ashkharabar. So for us, it's very difficult to understand the meaning of Old Armenian language.
So can you understand something of what is here or not?
Yes, not the all, but for example, the first word is shinet, which means built. So some of the words are understandable.
It's really fascinating how they did it so many years ago in such detail. And look at the dome. And here we have another tombstone.
So this is the only church in Armenia where we have a tombstone, a burial inside the church. It's not allowed to bury people when we have the main altar. But in Hripsime, we have the tombstone of our Catholicos.
Wow. So it's the only church in all Armenia?
In all Armenia, the only church. Oh. It's a unique one.
And is there a reason why in other churches you cannot find it?
The reason is that since ancient times, the burials inside the church were forbidden by Catholicos, by Patriarch, and only because of that Armenians started to build bell towers or gavits. Gavit is a vestibule. So as the spiritual people wanted to be buried in a church, and after death they were being buried under the bell towers or inside the vestibules to serve to the church even after the death. This was the meaning.
Really small doors here. Another beautiful visit here in Armenia, and I have to thank my guide Shu for it because she has been amazing this far. And here we have a lovely place where you can relax. If you have some time here, you can just relax here a little bit. Smell some flowers. Smells good actually. Okay, let's go to our next destination. So guys, we arrived here at the second church today, the Gayane Church. From which century? The 7th or?
Again, 7th century, 630s. Saint Gayane, who was the head of the 37 nuns who came to Armenia. Later, again in the 7th century, on her tombstone, this beautiful three-nave church was built.
Oh.
By the way, the architectural style is completely different from the one we saw before.
Let's check it out. I love the way they do it here with all the greenery.
Yes, yes, and here we have cemetery, quite old one.
Oh.
And even next to
I
the
see.
church, there is another cemetery where famous Armenians are buried. Among them, famous church singer Lucine Zakarian, who was singing Sharakan's church songs.
Yeah, look at those tombstones. We're gonna quickly look how they look like. So here we have some explanation. And here we have the tombstones. Quite interesting ones. How old are the tombstones here, you think?
So supposedly these tombstones are from the 9th century, so those period, quite old.
And this were like regular people or?
Spiritual mainly.
Ah, okay,
yes.
spiritual.
In the territory of the church, mainly you can find spiritual people buried, or even the financiers who financed
The build of the
building
church,
of the
yeah.
church,
Okay.
yeah. By the way, in the 13th century there was a nunnery church here. As in Armenia we don't have nunnery churches, so only men are serving to the church, but here in the medieval times we had nunnery church.
Oh.
And you see the difference between this church and Saint Hripsime. Here we have three-nave Basilica Church,
Yeah.
which was again partly restored in the 17th century and later in the 20th century as well.
There's a beautiful fresco above the door as well. Is it an original one?
It was done in the 17th century, not in the 7th century.
17th,
Yeah,
okay.
it was added later in the 17th century.
So look at this, guys. Beautiful fresco at the top of the door. More old tombstones here. Really beautifully made. And these doors. Beautiful wood carvings. Of course not original, but still it's beautiful.
So now let me explain the difference between this one and that one. There is an architectural style called naves. So here we have three naves. Look, there are like arches,
Yes.
which makes the naves. So here we have a three-nave church with a dome, but in Hripsime we didn't have these naves,
Yeah, that's true.
and it was a huge drum, central dome church,
Yes.
the style of the Hripsime. And this one, just three-nave basilica.
And here we are in the other tomb.
Again, of course, the tombstone was changed in the 20th century. It was restored, but again, here we have the reliquary of Saint Gayane, who was killed again by the order of King Terdat. And it is said that the servants of Terdat just cut her tongue. This is Hripsime, she was stoned, and the Gayane, they just cut her tongue.
So here the stoning.
Yeah, that is Hripsime.
Yeah,
who
we
was
saw
stoned,
earlier.
And the Gayane, her tongue was cut by the soldier. And this is our Gregory the Illuminator, the first Catholicos of Armenians and the main preacher of Christianity in Armenia.
And just when we exit the church, we find this other graveyard here. Look at this. You're chilling?
Yes, having a rest in a quiet place.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really quiet here. You barely hear anything. So this is the cemetery with the famous Armenians.
Yes, famous Armenians are buried here, and this is mainly 19th, 20th century cemetery.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see it here. See the dates: 1876, 1925.
For example, here we have tombstone of a crazy guy. We called him crazy.
Crazy guy. Why he was crazy?
They say he was fighting against the Turks alone with a huge army. Yeah, that's why. It's real.
So he was like a little bit stupid as well, to go alone to fight.
Brave.
Yeah, brave, but at the same time, yeah. Sometimes I do it too, you know. You know, I go to places that they say people say it's dangerous, and then I go there.
So you can.
So you can call it bravery, but you can also call it stupidity. Yeah, so.
I can call you Gent.
Okay, well. Okay. This one also looks unique.
This is
1992.
the tombstone of that famous singer, Lucine Zakarian.
Ah,
That's
okay.
why all the time, yes, people are coming and putting flowers on her tombstone. She was a greatest singer. By the way, she was also singing in Gerard Monastery. We were there yesterday.
Yes, yes.
Because of the acoustics.
Another beautiful visit to another beautiful church here in Armenia, the Gayane Church. And now let's go to the main church, which we can already see. It's over there. Look. Wow, look at this beautiful gate.
The entrance to the main church. To the left, this is King Terdat III. During his reign, Christianity was accepted as a state religion in 301. And right one is Gregory the Illuminator. By the way, Gregory the Illuminator wasn't Armenian. He grew up with Terdat, and later he became a good soldier. And Terdat sent him to Roman Empire, where he accepted Christianity, returned back and started to preach it. When Terdat realized that Gregory became a Christian, he imprisoned him, where he stayed for 13 years. And only after the 37 nuns were killed, it is said that Terdat had a serious illness, and only Gregory was able to cure him. This is why Terdat believed in the poverty of Christianity, and in 301 made it a state religion. After which this church was built between 301 and 303, Saint Hripsime Cathedral, which is a huge complex that includes in it not only this church but library, spiritual seminarium to the right of us, refectory, rooms for the priests, and not only. They have even a separate souvenir shop, another church for baptism, different museums, and so on.
Oh my God. Yeah, and you can really say it's huge. Look at this. And the new building over there, it's also a church, or?
No, it is the building for meetings, halls, and also some part of it is a library.
Ah, okay. So the building over there, guys. And even from the backside, the gate looks amazing. Yeah, it is a beautiful church, guys, but unfortunately we cannot see it from the inside because they're restoring it. But look at this. So since what time they started restoring it?
Actually, I can't say exactly. I even don't remember, but it is more than 4 years it is under reconstruction.
Oh, okay. And how does it look like from the inside?
From the inside, it is really very beautiful. Incredible illustrations we have on the walls. Very beautiful floral illustration. That's why some specialists say that it has an Iranian influence, as we don't have frescoes. Usually we don't do frescoes in Armenia, but this one, it's even not a fresco but illustrations, as the master who did it from Hovnatanian dynasty, they were born and grew up in Iran. So this is a unique bell tower with unique ornaments on the facade, which was added to the church in the 17th century. And let's approach. You can see some part of the illustrations here.
Oh yeah, I can see some on the ceiling.
Yeah, look at this.
Wow,
beauty.
it's beautiful. Look at that. You're right, it's not something you would expect from an Armenian church.
Sure.
More tombstones here. And you can see a lot of construction going on here. But I'm happy I saw this beautiful entrance. Look at that. I would have loved to go inside, but unfortunately, yeah, things like that you cannot foresee. And here more tombstones, really beautiful ones. Yeah, incredible. Can we have a peek here? We cannot enter, but you never know what we can find here. No, nothing really special. It's just some workers. Yeah, incredible. And look at the bell tower. From this side you can even see it better. Wow. So here we also have a museum that we can visit, where you can see the famous spear. But unfortunately we ask and we cannot film inside, so I cannot show it to you guys. So what about the spear? What is it actually?
So this is a very spear which was brought to Armenia in the 1st century. By this spear Jesus was hurt when he was on a cross. And two apostles of Jesus, Thaddeus and Bartholomew, when they came to Armenia, they brought this spear. And for 500 years this spear was kept in Gerard. Later in the 18th century they bring it to Echmiadzin, and since then we have it here in the treasury in the museum of Echmiadzin.
Oh, that's awesome. Unfortunately, no video, guys. Wow, the living quarters is really beautiful, guys. Incredible. Look over here. You can see it a little bit better. Unfortunately, we cannot enter it, of course. We have to respect their privacy, but it looked nice with the flowers and everything. Wow, the sight on the cathedral is really stunning from here. Look at this.
So here you can see a memorial devoted to the Armenian genocide, which was designed by famous Armenian architect Raphael Israelian, and was put here in 50th anniversary of the Armenian genocide in 1965.
So we could not visit the church, but I'm a happy man because I got my magnets. So we arrived, guys. We quickly need to buy our tickets here at this window. Thank you. So at this time 1,500 for a ticket, €3 or something like that, so it's not that much. Yeah, thank you so much. So we have the ticket, guys, so we may enter this beautiful place. So this is the information board.
Yeah.
So this is how it's supposed to look like?
Yeah.
Looks beautiful.
Yeah, and it was huge. So look where we are. The masterpiece of all Armenian cathedrals, the Zvartnots Cathedral, built in the 7th century by Catholicos Nestled, the builder. People were calling him builder. So it was a round shape and it was really very huge, 45 meters, like 15-floor building. And of course that was unique for that time. Unfortunately, in the 10th century it was destroyed because of the earthquake.
And it's here, guys. Unfortunately, like you can see, not much left after the earthquake, but can give you an idea how massive this building was supposed to be.
So for example, that piece of stone is a small piece from the wall of the church. And of course, like churches in Echmiadzin, this cathedral is also included in a heritage list of UNESCO.
So this is the rock, guys. Look how thick it is. It must have been a devastating earthquake. And now let's enter the ruins of what once was the beautiful Zvartnots Church. We are here now.
You can see the difference between this church and other Armenian churches. Pay attention to all these columns, to the decorations, baskets. Here we have throne, which is not common to the Armenian churches. And it is said that this church held the reliquary of Saint Gregory the Illuminator, but some specialists think that this was just for baptism. Right over there we have, in the very middle, in a circle, we have two letters in Latin, N and C, Nerses Catholicos. And of course, from here we have a perfect view to Mount Ararat. Unfortunately, because of the clouds right now it is closed, but let's imagine it's just in front of us.
Yeah.
Actually,
you can see it a little bit. You cannot see the top, but you can see it a little bit.
Zvartnots itself is located between two giants, Mount Ararat and the highest peak of Armenia, Mount Aragat, which is on the other side. And also here we had clergy rooms. It was for some period the seat of Catholicos. So this was very important place in the 7th century. Pay attention to that huge piece of stone. That is a sundial, sun clock, or which was on the facade of a church. This is the copy of the original one, but the size is the same. And pay attention to the letters. So till the 16th century, Armenians, instead of Arabic numbers, were using Armenian letters. So usually here must be a stick, and due to the sunshade, people were able to guess the hour of the day.
This was the winery.
Yes.
And what exactly did they do here? Or
let's approach to the other one.
Okay.
I will show you. So we had huge clay jars inside these holes, And you see, they were putting the grapes here and they were pressing it with the feet, and the juice was coming into the big jars. And why under the earth? It was like a fridge for that time. So they were keeping it for some period, and of course later were making the wine.
So here they were stomping it, and then
Yes.
from here
Yes,
they
yes.
put it in the barrels. Wow, look at these beautiful eagles here. They've been on the scallops?
Yes, they have been on the columns. Look, there we have more. There were 4.
Ah, yes,
kind
yes,
of
I can see.
columns. 2 are broken, 2 are still standing. And the eagle is a symbol of freedom.
We even got a small museum here. Unfortunately, we weren't allowed to film in the museum here as well. So guys, this was it for another video here in Armenia. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I see you again soon on another adventure. Take care. Bye bye. Cheers. You.